Your day brightened up? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Hashtag Positivity Podcast.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. Welcome back. This is episode 8. And we had some technical difficulties before we came on. Our timing isn't the best. We have Don give us the finger, the pointer finger.
I've probably given you the other finger too.
Yeah. And that's what tells us that we're ready to record. Well, sometimes we get mixed signals from Don, or we're talking, we interrupt him.
I just feel like every time we start these,
it never goes smoothly.
Donnie has me dying laughing before we even start, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. How's it going, Jay?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Things are good. Things are really good. Yeah, kids are getting very, very excited about Christmas, and man, you know how it is this time of year. Everybody, all the kiddos are getting excited, and the parents and adults are running around trying to get things done around the house, and but it's fun. It's a fun time of year. We had our first snowstorm up this way a couple days ago, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'd like to say that I enjoyed it, but I didn't.
I'm with you. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the snow at all. The house and the streets look pretty for a few hours, and then I was over it, and I will be until next year. But
Yep.
Then it gets all dirty and like
Yeah,
the salt,
brown.
the salt
Gross.
everywhere,
It's
and
Yellow.
Yeah.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
Don't eat the yellow
stay
snow.
away from that. That's good advice.
But how you been, Don?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Feeling a little under the weather. If you
Yeah.
can't tell. Think you are too.
Yeah, I'm feeling it a little bit. It's been going around work. A couple guys were sick last week. This week, people will just have the leftover illness, and I feel like it's starting to hit me a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you.
So Don and I will give it to you next, I'm sure.
I hope not, but
You'll have it tomorrow.
Yep.
I hope not. I
You'll feel it.
feel pretty good right now. Donnie, every time we start the show, Jason asks you how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time, his answer is exactly the same.
Yep.
Doing great.
Doing great.
Doing great.
And which I love because I care about you. I love you. We've been friends for, God, over 30 years. So I'm glad you're doing great. But
Appreciate that.
is that just your, I mean.
It's my go-to, man.
But what if you're not? Would you tell us, hey,
I did. I told you that I didn't feeling under the weather.
So how are you great?
Well, it's a good question, John. This is the hashtag positivity show, right?
That's a good point.
I don't even know if Donnie knows this yet, Jason, but one of the things you and I were talking about before we went on the air was, kind of mixing it up this week and adding a short little show that we think the guests would like, because we get, I don't know if you do, I don't want to speak for you, but I get a ton of questions from people that listen to the podcast relative to, hey, that Don guy sounds like such a great guy, adds so much to the show.
Never heard it.
But you haven't.
All lies.
Yeah, well,
All lies.
it's a good point, because I've never heard it either, but for the purposes of the broadcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got a ton of people saying like, hey, we want to know more about Don.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Cool.
The first couple episodes, I had people texting me, hey, episode sounds great. Who the
F is Don. Yeah.
Like, well, it's a funny story. It's not really a funny story.
It's a great question, too.
It is a great
I agree. And here's why I believe that's a great question, because I know a lot of the answers and I know you.
Mm-hmm.
But what you might not know, Don, is we've decided to devote this entire episode to finding out who Don is.
Did you or did you not just tell the listeners that we've known each other for 30 years?
Yeah.
And now we have to dedicate 30 minutes to it?
Well, this isn't about us, Donnie.
Yeah, a
it's
minute
about
per year. We're going to draw out a timeline. Let me
This
get the
isn't-
whiteboard.
Yeah, this isn't about us. This is about the people that are listening, right?
Yeah.
So we want to let you into our lives a little bit and let you into kind of what we do outside of the podcast and why we're so involved, or want to be so involved in bringing this to you folks. So I think it'd be great for this episode that we will aptly title "Who the Front Door Is Don." We're going to talk all about you today, Donnie, and then we're going to segue into a story that's gained national attention over the last few days. But I think it'll be fun to let people inside your life a little bit.
Sounds like a blast. I'm a fun person, so.
Well, there's no question. So, Jason, do you want to fire the first shot, or
Oh, is that what this is?
well, we'll let's just see how
Gotcha.
it goes. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, so to your point, John,
Yeah,
which is a line out of your book.
to my point.
Yeah,
Do I say that a lot? To
You
your
do.
point,
yeah.
I have a lot of.
That's good. You're always supporting our points. That's good.
Well, I don't always support your points,
Right. Not always.
but
You try.
I'm trying to just be a professional.
Yeah. So you were a guest on the podcast many episodes ago.
I was.
I've made my introductions to folks. They probably know who I am
Sure.
at this point. They
Sure.
know who you are.
Absolutely.
If they don't yet, they can go back to episode 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah.
Yep. And they can learn more about you and where you came from and what you do. But they don't know who Don is. They just hear him get picked on all the time by us, lovingly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they realize how much work he puts in, how valuable an asset he is to this show.
No doubt. And what a valuable asset he's been, truthfully, all kidding aside, what a valuable asset he's been to my life and to a lot of people's lives that he's had the ability to work with. But I think the reason that Donnie is appropriate to sort of uncover on this episode, if you will, is because his journey is a little bit different. Like both of ours, we don't come from the media world. We don't come from the podcast world. This is truly a labor of love. But Donnie's adventures, certainly over the last couple of years, really speak to people's ability to match passion with purpose and do the things that they want to do in their life while balancing family, full-time work responsibilities, all the things that go along with our lives, right? So with that being said, Donnie, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you join us weekly for the hashtag Positivity podcast?
I've been asking myself for the past 8 weeks why I join you every week for the
I bet you have.
hashtag Positivity podcast.
See, this is why
Yep.
this is why he is an integral part of what we do.
That's right. And so it begins.
So, your interviewing skills are subpar.
Actually, I disagree. They're really
Okay.
good and getting better by the week.
What do you want to know?
Well, I think it's not about what I want to know. Again, it's about what I think our guests would benefit from. So, obviously, Jason and I know your background, but you've gotten very involved recently with media, technology, photography, video editing. Talk to us a little bit about how that started for you and, why you think it's become such a passion for you a little bit later on in your professional journey, because you've had you've had a full-time job for 20 years, something you are passionate about, you're good at. Why do you think it's happened for you over the last few years that you've gotten into this new venture, and kind of talk to us a little bit about how it started?
Started back in 2015 when that was good, by the way. That was definitely worth the knuckles. Good segue.
Damn right it was.
Started back in 2015 when my son needed a highlight video for lacrosse, and
I remember.
yep. And as I ventured through the junior in high school lacrosse player process with him,
Yeah, the whole recruiting roadmap, right?
Yeah. I learned quickly that he needed a highlight video, and found out how expensive they were. And in an effort to, save some cash and having a little bit of, tech knowledge behind me, I figured I could do it myself. So
Sure.
that's pretty much what started.
Born from necessity, kind
Born
of.
from necessity, without a doubt. Started Seven Roads Media in, I think it was June of 2015 officially.
I don't want to just brush past that because Donnie just mentioned Seven Roads Media. That's the name of Donnie's company right now. Talk to us a little bit about how you go from out of, as you said, sort of born out of necessity. My son wants to play at the next level. I know that a recruiting tape is important. Man, I enjoyed putting this together, to now being the owner and operator of a media company.
Well, once I put his together, I had a couple other kids ask me to make them, knew how to do it, and just kind of fell in love with that process, the editing process, I think I'm much better at than anything else. And I think it speaks to, everybody has like something different that they enjoy doing for different reasons. And I liken it to sitting down at the computer editing. I'm fully 100% focused on one thing. So all the other little things that occur in our lives, whether it's, family issues or work issues or bills or, whatever other stressors there are in your life, when I sit down and edit, they all go away because I'm focused on one thing. So that's really, and like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I have a horrible life. We all have stressors that
life stuff.
Yeah. So it gave me the ability to kind of, escape a little bit. Some people play video games. I have some buddies who are adults that play video games, and that's their outlet.
Yeah.
And this is fun for you. I mean, you enjoy like
it.
The creative side of it. This is, some people build models, some people play games. You like to make videos and edit them.
Yeah. And it just,
When did you realize it could become profitable for you? Because, at the end of the day, it's very time consuming.
Yes, it is.
It takes up a lot of your time. And so with a family, with a bunch of responsibilities, like all of us, when we pay our dues in a certain venue, at some point when we realize my skill set is different than everybody else's, and there's a market for this where I could get paid to do this, at what point did you realize, you know what? I'm spending so much time doing this, and I love it, so I'll do it for nothing, but why should I?
I think it really started, it's a snowball, right? Yeah. So like any business, you just keep going and going and going. And, there's been a couple times where, I've been frustrated. Thankfully, it hasn't been recently, but I've been frustrated, and I've said to myself, you know what? What if I just kind of let things go and, sell off some of my equipment and, just find something else to do? Or I
remember those conversations too.
So it's really, in the past year or so, I've made some phenomenal connections, and it's really turned out to be something that's, not only enjoyable, but, is profitable and helps me, send my kid to college and put food on the table like everybody else.
Sure.
And it's time consuming, like you mentioned, but you also have a full-time job. I mean, 7 Roads isn't Don's full-time job.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
this
why
is just something on top of that.
But for me, that's why, all the ribbing aside that we all have fun doing here, that's why I think for the people that listen to our show and the ones that continue to listen, what we hear from them all the time is, thank you guys so much, because it does provide the inspiration, or it provides me a different lens by which to look at my life, right?
Yep.
So one of the things that I've shared openly with Donnie and others that know Donnie and know what he's doing, and the reason I think it's important to highlight it on an episode is because there's a million reasons, but I think we talk all the time about people that get so close to what that goal is, right? And then you had mentioned, and I remember you having conversations with me, I don't even know if this is worth it. I think I'll just sell some of my stuff, just do it as a hobby. Many times. But for whatever reason, maybe explainable, maybe not. For whatever reason, maybe that next job came in that you said, hey, this is going to challenge my skill set in a different way, so I'm going to do this one. And then maybe I'll sell my stuff, or I don't know what the reasons are. They're yours. But my point in sharing with our audience is no different than anybody else that's listening right now. But he was able to find something that he was passionate about. And when you can match that passion with purpose, we talk about it all the time. When you can differentiate your skill set because you're passionate about something and you continue to do it, the payoff will come.
Right.
Whether it's a fiscal payoff, a emotional payoff, whether it's what fuels your fire in the morning when you get up, and you won't make a dime for it, but you just love doing it. And so that's why I highlight that, Donnie, because you were so close so many times to saying, you know what, this was cool and I'll do it forever, but I'll just do it for me. It'll be fun. Clearly that pendulum has shifted where now still fun. You still love it. You're still as into all of the stuff that you've always done.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten markedly better at it, and now you're profiting from it.
And I think it's like anything. Everybody has self-doubt.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whenever they
I have it every day.
We're our own worst critics with everything.
I do that all the time, and I'll do a video, and you know, it's funny. I look back at videos that I did 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh my god,
I have them. I have some of them.
This is horrible.
And when you did them, how awesome did you think they were?
I probably thought they sucked.
No, but my point is compared to what you had done a couple.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like compared to what you did a couple weeks ago, or I remember shooting some of them with you that you would help me with, and we were like, wow, that's badass. Those are way better than the ones we did a month ago.
Yeah.
But you look at your product now.
And I think it comes down to just like having that passion to get better. And, you know, like I said, I'll watch a video that a couple of them that I've done recently, and sometimes I'll just, put them on and watch them, and I'll be like, wow, that one was good. I really like that one. And at the same time, I'll look at another one and be like, that sucked. The color correction was off, and, they're
Constantly trying to improve.
Innovate to elevate.
Yeah. That's a great
Innovate
point.
to elevate.
I would ask both you guys this question because your full-time job is a little bit different, but I think one of the things that resonates with people all the time is a fear of failure. We all have it, right? So how do you, you and I, Donnie, talk a lot about that in private conversations, that we've seen our greatest growth as husbands, fathers, but on these side projects that we love so much, we've seen our greatest growth when we've just said, you know what, F it. I may fail. And the likelihood of failure, it may be pretty high. I'm doing it anyways. What's the takeaway for you guys in that? Like in your line of work, I understand it's a little bit different. So your failure probably comes in training more than it would come, hopefully, when you're called to duty.
Yep.
But I'm just curious so that we all can grow. Like, what's your take on failure and learning from failure? And then Donnie, for you as well, as it relates to your business, but also, your line of work, your full-time line of work, you can't fail.
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a quote that I really like, and it's by Greg Glassman, and he says, "We fail at the margins of our experience." So if you've never done something, it's going to be really tough to do that and do it well and just not fail the first time you give it a go.
Sure.
So training is hugely important for my line of work, for Don's line of work. And, even if you're just kind of, I say going through the motions, but, you hide a dummy in a building and you go in and you practice searching for it, or you practice pumping the truck, or you practice doing other things. We have to do training all the time for the medical side of the house.
Sure, of course.
So just being exposed and staying on top of that, keeping it in the forefront of your mind, and just giving yourself scenarios. Okay, in this case, I would do this. In this situation, I
mental
might try
preparation.
that. Yeah.
Even if you can't do it
Envisioning
physically,
or
you actualize it. You
Right.
you visualize it.
Yep.
Yeah. And the reason I asked the question is because I'm a firm believer that that's what prevents so many people from doing what they really love.
Yep.
We get complacent. And all of us, not just the people listening, me, everybody. And I feel like the people that become the most significant, that create the most fulfillment in their own lives personally, are the ones that say, I've never done this before. I've never done a podcast until you asked me.
Yep.
And I know that we are not at the level, anywhere near the level where we want to be, but we're working through failure.
Right.
So I think
it's you learn something from every situation. The very first podcast, when I went and sat and talked with Bob the Bike Man, I came home, I was so excited. It was awesome. We had it all on videotape. I had it all the audio recorded, and I went to upload it, and I couldn't upload it to the computer because what I didn't know is that you need to format a memory card. I had no experience with this. I tried it, I could hear it, but what I didn't know is that I wouldn't be able to export the audio. So luckily I was able to find a way, and it was a real pain in the neck, I'll tell you. I was able to find a way to get that audio out and have a product to put out. But yeah, just one of those things that, hey, I've never done this before. it's a learning experience. I mean, I've made mistakes since then too. The AP episode, we had some trouble with the audio, and but those are mistakes that I won't make again.
Correct.
So you see it and you're exposed to it, and that's going to be something that you don't forget. At least, you know, in my experience.
So Donnie, for you, just in terms of the 7 roads piece, because you clearly the business is continuing to expand. Your market has changed from a small amount of athletes when you first started, when your son was a junior in high school, to now. I mean, truly, you're busy with this business daily in one way or another. Whether you're on site shooting, whether you're on location shooting, or you're home in your office editing. For you, the failure piece. If you were to meet with a young guy or a young gal or somebody our age who wanted to start a second business, and you were to talk to them about failure, what are some of the things you'd absolutely want to let them know about failure as an essential part of the process?
For me, when I fail, I don't treat it as a failure. I treat it as a learning experience.
Awesome.
So there are times when, you know, I'll do something and I'll shoot something, and there was a camera setting that was off, and it was just because, you know, you've known me for 30-something years. I'm a very like go, and a lot of times haste makes waste.
Sure.
So doesn't happen as often, but every once in a while I'll have, and it's always like a camera setting. I'm like, oh crap. Now when I edit and post, I'm going to have to fix that, and it's going to take me an extra half hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours to correct that. So I know next time, hey, you got to make sure that your ISO isn't too high.
Sure.
And like just dumb things that, you know, I've shot hundreds of videos, and I'm always trying to think like, you know, faster than I should.
Sure.
So it'll
learning to work smarter.
Exactly. And I do it all the time. You know, it's something stupid, and you know, we could sit and watch every one of the videos I've ever done, and I'll point out every little thing that I did wrong. And you know, you may not see it, you may see it, but I see it, and I know that the next video isn't going to have that problem.
Sure.
Or if it does, I'm going to fix it, and you're not going to be able to notice.
You're probably the same way. I almost get excited sometimes. It takes a little while, so it's not as raw, but, you know, one of those situations you can laugh about later, but I'll mess something up and have to fix it. But then later I'm kind of like, it's kind of cool that I was able to come up with this solution. It just broadens your knowledge base.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the fact that now you have a solution that you came up with that you can use later down the road or share with someone else. And, you know, we're sharing ideas and technical stuff all the time. And John, we don't really need to share it with him because he already knows all the technical stuff.
Yeah.
But
woo, yep.
It's pretty good to have him.
Yeah.
You know, we bounce techie things off.
I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
And for the person out there listening to this, it's not about, as I listen to Donnie and Jason and all of us try to take something away from this that can help improve our lives, it's not about a media company or learning audio or how to set up a camera. Hopefully the takeaway for you in all of this is, shit, go out and try something that you've always been afraid to try for reasons that are not in your way permanently. They're in your way because you're allowing them to be in your way.
Yep.
So that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Putting up your own roadblocks.
Yeah, in that, well, I see all these other people doing this thing that I think would be really cool. I know I could do that. I have the skill set for it, but I'm afraid. Yep. And or we talk ourselves out of it. Here are the 10 reasons why I can't do it. The first time I was ever asked to speak, rewind, almost 20 years. I was a young guy, just out of college. An athletic director called me and asked me to speak. He saw me do a presentation, a very small scale presentation. He asked me to come speak at his high school. I tried to find every reason in the world not to go do that. And as I look back now, it's not because I didn't do a good job, or it's because I was afraid. It's because I let my own fear and self-doubt stand in the way. And now when opportunities like this present themselves to me, as long as I feel like it's the right fit for what we do, the question I ask myself all the time is, what's the worst thing that could happen? What is the worst thing that could happen? You know what I mean? I've done presentations for 500, 600, 700, 1,000 people. Some of them have been really good. Some of them I've walked out of there and gone, that wasn't my best. But I was able to walk out of there.
Yep.
So,
and the other thing is, don't assume that just because you get up the courage and you try it doesn't mean you're going to like it either. So
that's right.
You might try it and you might be successful, but it just might not be your thing.
You might
but
not
at least
like
now
it.
you know.
Yeah, and
You're
now
not
it's
gonna sit
time
on
for
that
something
forever.
else.
Yeah.
And wonder,
Yep.
right? So, Donnie, one of the other things I'd like to ask you before we sort of wrap up the segment with you is, because I think this is important for people to hear, away from the fact that, you shared with us, wow, I'm making some money now where I can take some pressure off my kids maybe when they go to college, which in and of itself is such an amazing blessing through your work. From a personal perspective, there has to be, I would imagine, through this journey, some things you've learned about yourself personally that are gifts, personal gifts. What would you say to the person listening that, really wants to try something, really wants to get something off the ground, no matter what it is? For you personally, what have been the biggest takeaways, or what's been the biggest takeaway for you personally throughout this journey, aside from the money and that you're making now, and the cool experiences that you get to do through your work? Personally, what's been the biggest takeaway for you?
I think the beginning of the question was, what would I say to the person?
Yeah.
Just do it. Like the old Nike, like just do it.
That's what you said to me.
What's stopping you from doing it?
That's what you said to me 2 years ago.
And we're like, I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk guy, and I know
learning more about him. Yeah.
Like, what's stopping you? Who is stopping you? There's something that's stopping you from doing something, right? Whether you're nervous to, like for me, this isn't the most comfortable thing for me to you guys asking me.
I know,
questions
that's
on a
exactly why
podcast.
we did it.
I like to be behind the camera, but it's one of those things you have to do, right? But what's stopping you? Who's in the way? What's in the way? Why aren't you doing it?
The regret of not trying it is going to destroy you down the road far worse than any failure that you can have if you actually try it out.
Absolutely. And things that I've learned about myself, I think like a lot of things that I've taken from this entire experience is more self-confidence. Like totally gone from, average to, and I'm not overly confident because I certainly, like I said, I screw up all the time.
You remain humbled, and that's what keeps you hungry.
But it keeps me hungry, and I love the hustle.
Yeah.
I love to be going. Family members would say that, I probably ADHD or something.
Sure.
I'm self-diagnosed or whatever, but I love the hustle. I love to keep pushing. I work 7 days a week, 16 hours a day in one form or fashion.
Sure.
And, over the weekend I had Saturday, I didn't really have much to do. And I'm like standing around the house, and my
going
wife looks at
crazy.
me and she's like, "You're bored, aren't you?" Yeah. I had everything done. I really had nothing to do. So I went out and, I did some cleaning up around the yard. But the hustle is what gets me. The hustle really pushes me to the next thing.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. For people that are listening, I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Hopefully you take away something from Donnie's experience in that embrace the hustle, embrace discomfort, right? Put yourself in positions that are uncomfortable.
Try new things.
Try
learn
new
things.
exactly.
Fail at things.
We talk
that's
to
what's
people
gonna
all
make
the
you
time.
better.
And in my work, I talk to people all the time, not just the kids I work with, but the adults I work with too, the athletes I work with too. They're no different in that they get comfortable. And I truly believe that comfort is the enemy of growth. They get comfortable because let's face it, Donnie, I mean, and you too, Jay, before the media company, good job, good money, beautiful family, nice home, can go on vacations. Like, life's good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Life is good. You've got your own home, Jay. You got a good job, a job you can be proud of, service to others. You can do the things that you want to do in your life. It's comfortable. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
And I've seen through my life and my work with all different kinds of people. I've been so blessed to work with people that, we would consider from a success standpoint at the very top of the mountain, the top 1% of the 1%, and everywhere down the line. And the most significant people day to day that I come across are the ones that recognize that comfort is the enemy of growth. I really believe that. So,
and I would add to that, for me personally, in order to feel that I was at a point where I could push it, where I could, take that step into owning my own business. If it wasn't for surrounding yourself with people who
such a great point,
are like-minded,
share your vision,
and are
Absolutely.
supportive, and I'd be remiss to not mention my family. If it wasn't for my family, I wouldn't be doing any of this.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't
they've been behind you.
Yeah, and my son, jokes all the time. Well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have this business. You're 100% true. But if it wasn't for, the four of you guys, I wouldn't be doing it either. Just because I wouldn't have the support, and I think that that's huge.
Not at the expense of losing your family.
Right. They've been 110%.
Yeah, it's
supportive,
awesome.
And I've surrounded myself. You guys, my buddy Dylan, I have to mention him, and all these people I've met along the way, Elias and Craig and Steve Rovithis, and all these guys that have given me a chance. Pete Fatsy.
Yeah.
It's been a great opportunity. And if you don't surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who are going to push you, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you hear the old adage all the time, right? Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just apply to teenagers who might be making poor choices from time to time. That applies to adults as well.
Everybody's.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you surround yourself with poisonous people that, at every turn, the situation that they face is negative right out of the gate, whether you want to adapt that ideology and that mentality or not, you're going to. You surround yourself with people that share or are trying their best to share a positive outlook, even despite tough situations, then I think you stand the best chance to grow. I can't thank you enough. I know, honestly, all kidding aside, that you don't love to do what you just did. So I think personally, in terms of the episodes we've done, I've loved this because I think people are really going to get a chance to see that not just Donnie, but the two of us, like, we're not opening the mailbox every day and counting checks from the hashtag positivity.
No.
We're doing this.
Sending checks.
Yeah, we're doing this because we love it.
Right.
We're doing it because we love it. And when I have a guy like Donnie, or we have a guy like Donnie that not only is so important to what we do, but has truly been a lifelong friend to me and is the most loyal guy you'd ever want to meet in your life, I want people to take away from that, why not you? Why not now? Like, what is standing in your way of saying to your family, your loved ones, most importantly, saying to yourself, I can give this thing a go. And so I hope you all got something from this. I know I certainly did, and I have conversations with Donnie almost every day, but there was still a takeaway for me. And Jay, I hope there was for you too.
Yeah, I'm really, like John said, I'm glad that we kind of put the pressure on you in this episode, because if we just asked how you were, I'm doing good.
Doing great.
Yep, doing great. That would have been, throw some shots back and forth throughout the episode. But I think it was great for the people to get to know you a little bit. And again, we really appreciate everything you're doing. This is, not to say that we couldn't figure it out on our own, but it wouldn't come out the way it does. So we appreciate that. I'm sure the viewers and the fans appreciate it.
No doubt, yeah. I don't know that just given, I think our discussion today took a real positive sort of turn. I want people to be able to sit in and digest what we shared today. So I don't know if we take the topic that we were going to infuse and maybe table it for next week. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think we'll get some more information and get some more background information so that we're just not going off half-cocked, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think in being totally upfront, I just think that for me personally, when you can put something together like we did today, that I really think there's so many takeaways personally.
Yep.
And what we talk about it all the time, Jay. Whether it's one person, 100 or 100,000, if one person can in some way connect with Donnie's sort of journey and story and say, wait a minute, that really hits me like a truck. Like this is something I've been thinking about all the time. I'd rather people be able to sit in that than have to digest something else that we might not be able to do justice to. You know what I mean?
For sure. I agree.
So, Donnie, thank you very much. Truly appreciate you being willing to share and open up. I don't know if there's anything that you want to quickly share or add, Jay.
No, I think just continue to spend time with your family and friends. We're getting closer to Christmas.
Yeah, we are.
So it's only a couple more weeks away. I know we mentioned last week some of the traditions and things that we enjoy and we look forward to. So
for sure,
go do your Christmas shopping, hang out with your family, your friends, do the things that you love with the people who you love to do them with. I think we put Donnie on the spot one last time for the word of the day, maybe?
For sure.
Oh, we're doing that again?
For sure.
Yeah, I think it was your idea, wasn't
Donnie, I'm gonna give you a good one that is absolutely, if you don't mind.
No, go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
I'm gonna give you one that is absolutely in line, not just with what you talked about today, but what you've been really instrumental in helping me with for the last few years now.
Okay, go.
End game.
End game.
That's a good one.
There is no end game. I play the long game.
There you go.
So the long game for me, if you're talking about one and the same,
yeah,
the
I
long
am.
game for me is
I am.
It's worth to me, and in certain situations, it's worth it to give a little bit more of yourself now and reap the benefits later. So, for instance, in business terms, sometimes for me, I'll take on a project that I know is going to be not as much of a profitable project.
Sounds a lot like this.
Because I know at the end I'm going to get...
Is he referencing us specifically? Or
why'd you look at us like that?
What the...
My apologies if you got the wrong one. No, but sometimes I'll take on a project that I know isn't going to have short-term benefits. It's going to have long-term benefits. And the long-term benefits can be profit, opportunity, education, learning experience, contact, having some sort of relationship with somebody.
Sure.
So
personal fulfillment.
It's all
helping someone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to me, playing the long game has worked out tenfold for me.
Awesome. I think that is a great message to end with, sort of, especially it relates to the story, Donnie's sort of journey today. I know Jason talked to you guys a little bit about the Christmas season, and there's no reason for me to expand on that. I think he hit it perfectly. As always, folks, thank you so much for your continued support. We're beyond grateful for it. Please share with your friends. Be good to those you love. Let them know you love them, and have a great week.
Take care, guys.